1,000-page, $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill that we're hoping they'll be able to read all of and then vote on. The deal provides billions in added funding for things like border security, national defense, and child care. But some hardline Republicans are demanding a shutdown, trying to get more out of the deal and attempting to derail or delay the process. The deal provides billions in added funding for things like border security, national defense, and child care. But some hardline Republicans are demanding a shutdown, trying to get more out of the deal and attempting to derail or delay the process. Let's discuss with Republican Congressman Andy Barr of Kentucky. Congressman, thanks so much for sharing part of your afternoon with us. So the House is expected to vote on this tomorrow under suspension of the rules. There's already some friction there. You then also need all 100 senators without even a single objection to pass it. Is that really going to happen?
I think it's going to happen, and respectfully, if I could kind of alter the narrative a little bit, I am going to vote in favor of this bill. There's good and there's bad. It's a bipartisan compromise. But even my Republican colleagues who are going to vote no, I don't think that they want a government shutdown. I think that's a mischaracterization. They want a fiscally responsible trajectory for our country. We're $34 trillion in debt, and we need to reduce spending. And the reason why on net I'm going to be for the bill is not because it's perfect. It's far from perfect. But Boris, what this is it represents for the first time in a decade the first overall cut in non-defense, non-VA spending. That is incremental progress, not nearly enough, but it is incremental progress. And for a bipartisan divided Congress, I think that's a win, and we'll take it.
To be fair, Congressman, I think some of those colleagues of yours would prefer a shutdown to this package. They want concessions on border security specifically. Let's look at the details. This bill provides $19.6 billion for Customs and Border Protection, including almost $500 million for additional Border Patrol agents. It funds roughly 40,000 detention beds for undocumented migrants. It does not, though, add any money for border wall funding. Congressman Tim Burchett, Matt Gaetz as well, they say that this is not enough. They want to get more. What's your message to those Republicans?
Well, they're right. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. But again, on net, what does it do? Does it marginally or incrementally help the border situation, which is a total crisis of the president's own making? Yes, it does, because it funds Border Patrol agent personnel to 22,000. That's the same level that we passed in our own Republican H.R. 2 bill. It funds additional technology at the border, including autonomous security towers and fentanyl detection equipment, in addition to cross-border tunnel detection technology. We need that. It surges the number of detention facilities that we need. So is it perfect? Does it finish the wall? Does it reinstitute Remain in Mexico? All of the policies, the successful policies of President Trump? No, it does not. But it does do some of the things that will hold this administration accountable for their disastrous open borders policy. So look, I agree with my Republican colleagues who are going to vote no. It's not perfect. It doesn't do all that we need to do. But I'm going to do anything I can to marginally improve the situation at the border.
On that note about perhaps doing something that would improve the situation, even if it's not perfect, I want to compare what's in this spending bill to that bipartisan bill that Republican Senator James Langford put out last month. That one would have actually provided more funding for border security. It would include more than $500 million for the border wall, which is something that Republicans have demanded. It would have funded 50,000 detention beds as opposed to 40,000. On top of that, it would have expedited deportations, cracked down on asylum claims, limited humanitarian parole, also allowed the president to shut down the border if crossings past a certain number, and it would have provided $60 billion in funding for Ukraine, which it badly needs right now. Why support this bill when that bill went so much further and did so many things that Republicans have been asking for a long time?
Valid and legitimate question, Boris, but what you fail to mention in that list of very positive reforms, and including the Ukraine assistance that I support, what it also included was codifying the illegal crossings. It surged $7 billion. That so-called bipartisan border bill or immigration reform bill also provided $7 billion to sanctuary jurisdictions that would be a huge additional magnet for illegal migration. That's not what we need right now. So yeah, there were some good features to Senator Langford's efforts. There were.
The bill didn't codify allowing illegal crossings. It set a threshold of undocumented crossings that would have allowed the executive to say, shut down the border right now. That's very different than saying we're going to allow this many people through.
No, Boris.
That's a different interpretation of what it did. And I'm citing Senator Langford's own words, who described this as the most conservative immigration package put forward in a generation.
Look, James is a friend, and he's a good man, and he is well-intentioned in what he tried to do, but his hands were tied because he was negotiating with open border people who support amnesty. The problem we have in that bill that he negotiated,
but the White House didn't even get anything,
was that it put in federal law, Boris, it put in federal law an amount of illegal crossings that simply does not exist in current law.
That's not exactly what it did, Congressman. But the idea that he was negotiating, the idea that he wanted to negotiate with people that were asking for amnesty, that bill didn't contain anything related to amnesty. Democrats essentially conceded,
Boris,
and they gave Republicans what they wanted without a pathway to citizenship.
Boris, it had $7 billion for amnesty jurisdictions. You're just wrong. That's not true. That bill would be a magnet for more illegal immigration. And look, at the end of the day, what we need is H.R. 2. What we need, Boris, is border security. We need to reinstitute the successful policies of the Trump administration. We need to finish the border wall. We need to remain in Mexico. We need the migrant protection protocols. We need to end this disastrous catch and release that resulted in the murder of Lake and Riley and others.
That bill would have done that, sir.
Happening in this country.
That bill would have ended the parole program.
The American people are sick and tired of this administration's dangerous policy that has resulted in 340 individuals on the terror watch list apprehended at the southern border under his watch. And how many gotaways, we don't even know. 1.8 million gotaways that the Border Patrol has identified. That doesn't even count the number of individuals who they haven't even detected. Americans are dying of fentanyl overdoses. The cartels are exploiting the southern border. The Chinese Communist Party is working with the cartels to exploit this. Kentuckians are dying at record levels because of fentanyl coming across our southern border. This is a crisis that every American, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it's totally unacceptable what is happening at the southern border, and it's a homeland security, national security crisis, it's a crime crisis, and you know what? It could be fixed overnight if this president actually wanted to secure the border, and he clearly does not.
I think any executive action that he might take to shut down the border or to take steps that Donald Trump took would be blocked by federal courts, as the steps that Donald Trump took actually were blocked by federal courts. It's very hard to say that all of the issues caused by immigration are just on Joe Biden when they've been happening for a generation, sir.
Wait a minute. Why is it, though, if that's true, if the executive actions don't make any difference and the courts really intervene, why is it that illegal crossings are so much higher today under Joe Biden than they were under President Trump? Why is it that individuals on the terror watch list are far higher today crossing the border than they were under President Trump? It's because President Trump shut down the border and protected
on the question
the American
of whether
people.
The executive orders have been effective. It's clear that they haven't. The numbers aren't trending in that direction. But some of the more extreme executive orders that Republicans have demanded that the White House take, just like with President Trump, they would have gotten blocked by federal courts. Further, to just blanketly say...
No, that's not true.
Okay.
The president has
a judge in San Francisco that blocked
the country.
Former President Trump in executive orders that he pushed forward. That same judge would have done the same thing to Joe Biden. In fact, I'm pretty sure he did when it came to certain specific policies wrapped around Remain in Mexico. Nevertheless, Congressman Andy Barr, I look forward to picking up this conversation with you in the future. There's a lot to talk about. We appreciate your time, sir.
All right. Thanks, Boris. I appreciate it.
Of course. We'll talk soon. Next, the